Hello, this is Jay Mitchell, and we are back with another episode of the Libertarian Uncensored podcast. Let's get right into it. So first we have "Stop Making Me Defend Donald Trump" from We the Internet TV, and I posted that as a YouTube video, and I said I despise the guy, but maybe he isn't the worst thing ever. I don't like the guy and would never vote for him. But on Reddit, the moderate position seems to be to imprison him and everyone who has ever voted for him. And I think that's going a little too far. I personally would never wear the MAGA hat or vote for him. But with that being said, I definitely do think, the weaponization of government against him and his supporters isn't something that, that's that libertarian, I think. I personally think, you should hold all the presidents accountable for their war crimes and overly authoritarian policies, but most people on Reddit only seem to care about Donald Trump and his authoritarian policies, not like Barack Obama or George W. Bush's authoritarian policies. And, that's just what I think about that issue. Then we have, "What are they mad about?" from Defiant L's on Twitter. And that was him quote tweeting, Libs of TikTok, "Liberal woman can reportedly spend thousands of dollars to have a screaming session where they bash sticks in the ground to deal with their emotions. I saw it now, so you don't have to, and I saw it, so now you have to." And then I said, in response, "All fools can be the worst." Affluent white female liberals. So that's what I think Michael Malice said that. That's where I heard from, at least. That's why they call them awfuls, I guess. Because they are awful. And I said, bash whoever you want to. Personally, I want to say that the most annoying people when it comes to U.S. politics are overly educated, woke white people, and sadly, they seem to make up most of Reddit, outside of bots, that is. So that's my thoughts on that issue. I don't think, if they want to spend thousands of dollars for a screaming session where they bash sticks on the ground, they should be able to. But with that being said, I think I should be allowed to find it weird and voice my opinion on that. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Ron DeSantis makes climate change isn't real official law and bans wind power from NewRepublic.com by Clorox. And ultimately, I don't think the government should be taking positions on things like climate change. I don't think the government should really be taking positions on anything. So that's my thoughts on that issue. And I definitely think if people want to use wind power, they should be able to. But I don't think they should be forced to use wind power if they don't want to. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have the Mises Caucus's anti-libertarian roadmap for the LNC, and that's from a post from Legio X. It's a tweet from I think Josh Equal, yeah, and he says the tweet is, "The LP National Convention starts soon. I've received the details the LP Mises Caucus strategy and how they plan to complete their effort to turn the LP into a satellite of MAGA. They intend to create its platform, backstab the rallies, and redefine libertarianism as we know it." And it looks like he has a leak of it. It says, "General recommendations always vote against motions to extend debates. This is not the same thing as always calling the question. We only do that strategically. Have Angela's back on all appeals of the ruling of the chair. Pay attention to the caucus discord and caucus signs. Do not party too hard on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday nights. You'll need to be in the convention already, ready for business at 9 a.m. the following day. I'm spring a hoodie or upper jacket, water and snacks, back battery, and charging cable for your phone." And they have the delegate manual when the caucus goes, and I definitely do. I think my thoughts on the issue were, I personally think that it doesn't really matter too much. I disagree with some of it, like removing the sex work plank in the Libertarian Party platform and also the free trade and free movement from the party platform as well. But the LP isn't that relevant in the grand scheme of things, anyway, and most of these just exist as a political sideshow. They're only going to peak out like for 3 to 4% of the vote, and that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have the Beepocalypse, another scare story the media got wrong, from John Stossel on YouTube. And I posted that, and I said, how dare people want the media to be accountable, that's what Newsletter said. "Oh, thank you. Yes, news should never report on current events. They should wait years and years until lots of studies can get funded. Begin collecting data, analyze the data, compare it with other studies, universally agreed on consensus is reached. Until all that happens, the news should not mention it. Sauce out there once again doing Lord's work. He's a national treasure. We're complete idiots." I said, how dare people want the media to be accountable? They just move on. They're never really going to bother to post any updates on it. Then when they do, they're not going to hype them up nearly as much. The media needs to fearmonger, and you can't do that if things are getting better. And that's important to remember, I would say. The media just exists to fearmonger and sell agendas and sell an agenda. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Nuns vs. Native Canada's Mass Grave Hoax from Freedom Tunes on YouTube, and I posted that, and I said, like if everything else, the corporate media will never be held accountable for it. I believe in a free press, but if the corporate press got forcibly shut down, it would be entirely justified at this point. I personally don't really care for them, but I don't think government authoritarians and answer corporate authoritarians. That being said, they definitely deserve it if you ask me. Even if I would personally be against them being shut down, they probably do deserve to be shut down. That's my thoughts on that issue, so that's why, they won't be held accountable for saying there were mass graves in Canada that led to a lot of church arson, and they won't be accountable for the next thing they try to rile people up over either, and that's my thoughts on that issue. And, that's why I definitely think, social media, it's not perfect, but I definitely do think, undermining the corporate media is definitely a step in the right direction, and that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have echoing Nazi Germany. Biden campaign seizes on Trump post referencing unified Reich. Oopsie, did Trump do that again? That's from Axios, from Clorox, and they added, Trump accidentally preparing Nazi phrases yet again. Germany crossed out, then America first. And I said, I always assumed that the 2016 Polish election would end at some point, but outside of replacing HRC with Biden, it looks like it's here to stay. It's been pretty much 3 elections have been the 2016 election in a row now. And yeah, that's why I'm getting kind of tired of it. So yeah, and that's my thoughts on that issue. I want Trump to go away, but I just really want all this. I just really want all this the media hype about how MAGA fascism to go away too, and that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have your total tax burden would probably go up under Trump. Yes, up. Tariff costs outpace even unlikely claims of further tax cuts from the Washington Post by Tom 13. And I didn't comment on that one, but yeah, I definitely would agree that, Trump and Biden are pretty much the same economically. Maybe Trump would make the taxes worse. Maybe they'd be slightly better. I don't know. But, regardless, it doesn't really matter who's the president. They're just pretty much going to do the same thing, despite how the media might hype up that they'd be different, and that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have the LPMC is telling its members who vote for as VP to push Larry Sharpe out, from Josh Equal on X, and that was from Griff12838, and yeah, that's interesting because, as Josh Eagle says in the tweet, there's 7-year Ellen in the back. A longtime member of the LPMC Board of Advisors, that Larry Sharpe, is running for vice president. They intend to validate his nomination for vice president due to an obscure bylaw technicality. And, yeah, I don't think that is good. But, that just goes to show you that, anyone can betray you at any second. Sometimes you just have to cope with it, and that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have, there is a way out of the Assange legal quagmire. The U.S. should drop the case from Lemon Limelight, and that's a cross post they made from the Civil Liberties subreddit from The Guardian. There is a way out of the Assange legal quagmire. The U.S. should drop the case. UK, I would agree with that. I didn't call on that one, but yeah, I definitely do think, it's not people like Assange and Snowden shouldn't have faced criminal charges, and we need to support free speech for whistleblowers, and that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Germany's parliament has officially voted to decriminalize the possession of child pornography from Redux on X. And I posted that, and that was added. The movie was being celebrated by a pedophile rights activist group, which was also called for the age of consent to be dropped to 12. And I said, my response on that issue was, I'm anti-censorship, but if it's justified in one instance, it's this one. Also, watch people who censored my last post. I made a post before this I censored of some rapper named Rollo Hunt, who was 17, shooting himself in the head and killing himself. And that was censored under the guise of Correct Myers, but watch the people who censor it bend over backwards justify this. That's my thoughts on that issue. And, ultimately, I do think, I'm very anti-censorship, but, it is justified, I think, in this instance. But with that being said, ultimately, it does come down to us, the force and social and economic capital, do what, and sometimes you just have to cope with it when things don't go your way. And, that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Genocide Joe defending his buddy Netanyahu, who would have thunk, from NBCNews.com by Ragnar OKXG, and I said, glad to see some anti-Biden rhetoric on Reddit. I remember when this place used to hate establishment politicians, but after it was co-opted by the DNC in 2016, it now loves them. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have, no one should be entitled to any U.S. military service benefits unless they are fighting under U.S. command and control. Mr. Miller has lost sight of who was elected to Congress to represent. For hashtag America First from Dennis Kucinich on Twitter, and I posted that, and that was him quote tweeting Michael Tracy. Holy crap! Representative Guy Reichendaller and Representative Max Wheeler, both Republican from Ohio, have introduced a bill that would extend the same taxpayer benefits to Americans serving the IDF as if they were serving the U.S. military. And I said, if the Democratic went at all in Kucinich's direction, it would be far better off today than it is currently. He's kind of like Tulsi Gabbard in that regard. You know, he's a gun grabber and anti-free trade, but at least he's anti-foreign intervention and anti-Patriot Act. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have parents called for mental health help. Police arrived and fatally shot their son from NBCNews.com by Swamp Yankee Dan. And it just goes to show you that you shouldn't really call the police unless you really absolutely need them. And even then, you know, it still might not be the right decision. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Trump's attorneys found classified docs in his bedroom months after raid from Axios.com by Swamp Yankee Dan. And I definitely don't think that is good. But with that being said, you know, Biden and Pence had classified documents in their house as well, and no one really seemed to care. They only care about when it's the orange man. You know, that just goes to show you that they only care about things that the media tells them to care about. And that's my thoughts on that issue. And then we have Norway, Ireland, and Spain say they will recognize a Palestinian state from APnews.com by Swamp Yankee Dan, and I didn't comment on that one, but you know, ultimately, I personally think I would recognize Palestinian state, and I think we need a two-state solution on that front. And that's my thoughts on that issue. And let's see if we have anything else. Looks like we don't have anything else, so we're gonna wrap it up there, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.